Welcome back, everybody, to the Mexico City Aztecs expansion series here at NBA 2K25. We are in our opening season of this entire series, and we're going to close out this first year in this episode with still a couple months left to play. Our last showcase game is going to be this next one against the Spurs on the road, because they're probably going to be one of our rivals once we get to a good level, like as a team. Like once we become a good team, they're probably going to be one of our toughest teams to face because they are in our current division. They're in the conference too. So with Wembanyama on their team and, you know, some up-and-coming players, it's going to be kind of one of those rivalry matchups, I guess you could say, in this region of the country. But before that game, I do want to address a couple of things. The first is that I have slightly tweaked the simulation settings. The only thing I changed since the last time we played, which again, this only affects games that you fully simulate, I did lower the fouls by a little bit because I think the fouls were a little bit too high compared to what I was seeing in last year's game. I did slightly tweak the shot types as well and the shot percentages. I lowered the layup and dunk percentages from, I think they were at 64 to 60 each, and close range down to 58. I will link my entire settings in the comments down below. It's going to be like an Operation Sports forum link, so you might have to make an account to view it on there, but it's a pretty good forum for this kind of series. And then I also did adjust the foul distribution only by a little bit. I lowered it by 2 from 62, I believe, but you can see the full set that I'm currently using on that Operation Sports forum post. I've also adjusted the progression rate to 40, so it's -10 from the default 50. And I increased the player regression rate to 65 because typically guys take a little bit too long to regress in this game. And this way, at least in these early years, we get the younger players from the drafts and still like less than 23 years old. They will progress hopefully into kind of those top of the league players, while the veterans will kind of phase out of the league. And the final thing I adjusted since our last episode was the CPU sliders. I only changed a handful of things, and that was the fouling. I increased the reaching fouls to 85 from 70, and the shooting fouls to 80 from 70. And again, you can see this full set besides the foul adjustments on the Operation Sports forum post, but I'm still trying to, test those fouling settings out because you're kind of shooting for a 17 to 23 average per game. And that is the case for simming, but not necessarily for the CPU games. And the one last thing that I have noticed since the last time I played a game on here was that apparently they have adjusted and fixed the substitution glitch. So I have, of course, kept it on the rotation because the adaptive coaching engine kind of is broken right now. So I will keep it on for offense and defense, but that should not affect subs because they're on different settings. So we'll just see how that goes. And I wanted to check one thing here because I did hear that apparently the rotations that are built by CPU coaches aren't very good on user teams. So if I can check that real quick and to see how many subs are being made in a game with a rotation timeline. And it looks like there's plenty of points in the game where subs are made. You can kind of see those on that white line on the bottom of the screen. Those little diamond markers are where subs are made. So it seems fine to me, and I'll keep it there for now. And I do want to see what this Chris Paul farewell tour looks like the jersey exchange at the end of the game. So that's kind of the goal of this episode, and then we'll probably just sim the rest of our season because we're probably not going to make the playoffs. We're currently one spot out of the play-in tournament after a rough last couple of weeks. So here we go, facing the 22-20 San Antonio Spurs, kind of a division rivalry here in the Southwest. We are on the road here in San Antonio, taking on Chris Paul, Keldon Johnson, and of course, Victor Wembanyama, one of the most recent generational prospects in the National Basketball Association. We're here at the Frostbank Center in Texas. Two teams right around 500 facing off here in the Western Conference for what will likely be our final showcase game of this inaugural season. It is our first time wearing the away greens as Wembanyama wins the tip here in this division matchup. Here we go, Chris Paul, and our final look at him in the series, plus our first look at him as Keldon Johnson bricks the first shot of the ball game with that wide open triple. Brogdon inside feed to Adams, kick back out to LeVert. He steps back, pulls the trigger, and gets us on the board first. Inside feed, stolen away by Adams. A turnover by Chris Paul leads to two more for Dorian Finney-Smith. Screen comes up for Sochan. Back door and knocked away again. Adams, two forced turnovers in the first two plays on defense. Shot clock under 5 for the Aztecs. Here's Malcolm Brogdon shrugging off Paul. Tough shot, no good, but he gets it back and finds DFS for the open triple, but he can't knock it down. Wembanyama, catch and shoot over Adams. That'll get the Spurs on the board here. He has averaged over 28 points per game here in just his second NBA season. And a very high usage rate as the pass is stolen away by Vassell. His pull-up won't go in off the glass, and Green comes in for the rebound. Deep triple for Finney-Smith. He's now 0 for 2 from downtown. Inside to Vassell over two defenders and fouled. That comes against Caris LeVert. The first foul from either team here. And this one, Vassell, 84% at the line this season. Very reliable from the charity stripe as he goes 2 for 2. And we're all tied up at 4. Good penetration by Brogdon, and a questionable shot ricochets off the backboard and through. In our previous 3 games against San Antonio, he's averaged just under 20 points per game and 6 assists per game. He's been our best player offensively all year long. Low block with Vassell. Time counting down for San Antonio. Contested 3 won't go for Keldon Johnson. Catch and shoot. Malcolm Brogdon cannot hit the mid-range jump shots. Baseline. Hand off to Wembanyama. Nearly got the and one to drop in. That's the first foul against Steven Adams. First one rattles in for Wemby. And the back end will tie things back up. Shot clock winding down for Mexico City. Got to find a shot here. It's going to be for Finney-Smith. Well contested and no good. Wembanyama pulls it down. He's top 5 in rebounds per game so far this season, about halfway through. Double screen setting up. Johnson picked up well by Green. He steps back, throws it up, and off the backboard and out. Screen from Adams. LeVert downhill and fouled by Wemby, his first. And the first on San Antonio. Coming off a win against New York where LeVert had 17 points and 9 assists on 50% shooting. Trying to keep things going here and get back in the win column as LeVert splits the free throws. Wemby all the way up ahead to Vassell for the corner triple, which rattles home. And the Spurs have their first lead. LeVert lets it fly, but can't connect. Deep 3 for Chris Paul. That one hits the back iron and does not drop in. Just his first shot attempt so far in this game, and his farewell tour. Good passing here by the Aztecs, but nothing opens up. Brogdon misses the pull-up shot, and so far it's been a good defensive game by both squads. Johnson fakes a spin move, has Green draped all over him, and got it to go. Tough shot. And the inbound pass is stolen away by Sochan. Fast break triple rattles off the backboard and through for Keldon Johnson. The Spurs have doubled us up after trailing 7-6. It's an 8-0 run for San Antonio. Robert Williams is checked in for the Aztecs, by the way, our first above the game, as LeVert bricks the open three. A couple of missed shots from behind the arc for us so far. Wemby the screen. The shot is up and good from Tre Jones, the backup point guard. Top of the key screen set up for LeVert. Another open look. Finally drops in for him. And we have broken the cold spell with three guys about to check back in for the Aztecs. Spinning shot up and in for Victor Wembanyama. He has played even better at home, about 30 points per game. He has been absolutely incredible so far this season. Josh Green attacks the basket, but has it rejected away by Wemby. On the other end, Wemby behind the arc. Can't get it to go. Lucky break. That was an open look. Here's LeVert. Lacing it from deep. A couple hops off the rim, but it drops in eventually. It's back to a 5-point game. Offense trying to get back on track, but Wemby's catching fire. All over Adams that time. It's left outside for Josh Green. The shot won't go, but he was fouled on the attempt by Keldon Johnson. First free throw drops in after a couple of rolls. Peyton Pritchard comes in for hopefully more than just 1 minute. Everybody else stays out there. Second free throw up and good for Green. And he goes 3 for 3. Zach Collins all the way to the basket, but a bit too much on that one. And Adams pulls down the defensive rebound. Two-man game here as LeVert gets baseline, picks up his dribble, has to pass out. Time counting down for Mexico City. Adams, the offensive rebound, and he was fouled by Collins. That's number 3 on the Spurs. They've been the league's second best defense. We have been the 3rd best defense. As the free throw won't go. It's a 2-point ball game. Harrison Barnes out there now for the Spurs, alongside Tre Jones, Zach Collins, plus a couple other players, as Jones misses the pull-up. They get it back, and Jones has it blocked off the backboard by the Time Lord. Derek Jones Jr. now in the ball game for the Aztecs. Can he give us an offensive spark? LeVert fades and will do it himself. We're all tied at 20 apiece. He's got 11 points of our 20. Shot clock approaching 0. Barnes inside, and the bucket won't go. Up to Williams. Fouled at the rim, number 2 on Collins. And Williams can put us in front if he can knock down at least one of these 2 free throw attempts. The first one drops in. Williams. 2 for 2. Aztecs back on top. Downhill, back out to Mamu Kilashevili. If I can pronounce that right, I would be surprised. His 3-ball won't go, though, and it goes the other way. Luke Kennard finally in for the Aztecs after about 40 games this season. Pritchard, tough pull-up, offline. Vassell inside, getting around Wiseman for the deuce. It's a 15-6. Aztecs run these last 4 minutes and change, but we are all knotted up here at 22 apiece with only 4 seconds between these shot and game clocks in this first quarter. Pritchard lines one up, but is now 0 for 3 from downtown. Jones with it. Final shot of the quarter. Can't get it to go. Tied at 22 through 12. Kind of a slow start for both teams offensively there in that first quarter, but since then things have picked up for both squads. Although not to really end that first quarter either. Kind of a middle way through the first quarter, things really got on track for both teams. Not a lot since then as Mamu draws the foul against Dorian Finney-Smith. That'll put him at the line for a pair of free throws. The first one of which is no good. The back end will drop in. Spurs back on top. And I'm not sure who number 0 is, but we have another player on the court as well. So good to see some new faces getting some playing time. Pritchard for 3 still is yet to connect from behind the arc. Vassell picked up. He finds Barnes in the corner for a tough shot. No good. Backdoor, it's Adams with positioning over Zach Collins. Inside feed to Mamu. Fading away, left-handed shots will not go. That's Gary Payton, GP2. Is wearing 0 for Mexico City. Good to see him out there for the first time. As Pritchard lines one up, but still cannot find his rhythm. Vassell picks up a charge. Drawn by Gary Payton II. Malcolm Brogdon, Karis LeVert both back in as Pritchard and Payton both take his seats. I still want to see more from Luke Kennard. He was barely in the ball game, but guess we'll have to wait for him. Brogdon gets the handoff and slices inside with the hoop and the harm. Mabukelashvili finally got that pronunciation right from the in-arena announcer. Brogdon can't cap off the three-point play, and neither team can pull away here in the early goings of this one, but the Aztecs lead 26-23. Vassell ties things up from downtown. Brogdon freed up, but he won't even try to find the three-point line. He will now, and it's not going to go. Inside to Mabukelashvili. Little circus attempt. And he's going to draw the foul on Dorian Finney-Smith. First one drops, or does not drop, excuse me. The back end is good. And the Spurs retake the lead. Inside to Adams with the flush, his second of the quarter. 6 lead changes, 5 ties so far. I think we're going to jump ahead here soon towards the end of the first half. Vassell to Collins, up and under, and he was hit on the arm by Adams. Already our third foul of the quarter as Zach Collins knocks down the front ends. Williams back on the court for Mexico City as both free throws drop in. Spurs once again back in front. We jump ahead late first half as James Wiseman gets backdoor and ties things up off the Pritchard assist. It's 42-42, still relatively low scoring, lots of defense being played by both teams as Sochan is freed up off the ill-timed steal attempt by Dorian Finney-Smith. Aztecs shooting below 40%, Spurs, not much better, but they are in front by 2 here. 44-42. Finney-Smith inside, but he left it short. Keldon Johnson leaves it for Wembanyama, and the Spurs lead by 4. Over the top pass, Wiseman with back-to-back flushes. Screen set up by Paul. The triple won't go for Vassell, but Wemby pulls it down and keeps things alive for San Antonio. Shot clock at 5. Sochan behind the back. Over Wiseman. Got it to go as he flexes on the Aztecs. Time winding down. Final shot of the half. Goes for Finney-Smith. He beats the buzzer to cut the lead to 2. It's 46-48 here at the break. Spurs lead at halftime. Start of the second half. The Spurs in the first half led us in pretty much every category. Rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, field goal percentage. There's an open look though for Finney-Smith, and he puts us in the lead on the opening play of the quarter. Wemby wants it. From the logo all the way inside, fouled hard by Adams, his 3rd. Lon Mack does not like the call, but I think it was the right one. Wemby coming off a 17-point first set, trying to keep things going here, as the offense for the Spurs has struggled with him off the courts. But he's put them back in the lead with those 2 free throw attempts as the pass is stolen away by Vassell. From the elbow, over Adams, Wemby got it. Nice caught by Brogdon, and a better pass there by LeVert. Going back and forth to open this second half. Gotta love it. Wemby over Adams. Not this time. Screen comes up from Adams. He rolls inside. Nobody there inside the paint. 2-man game between Paul and Wemby as Chris Paul drains the trifecta. And we are trading leads once again. On the baseline, it's Finney-Smith fading away. It won't drop in. Another screen set by Wemby. Now he gets the feed inside. It's Finney-Smith trailing behind him. The Spurs lead 57-53. Quick start for their offense here in this 3rd quarter, as the Aztecs will talk things over on the bench. But look at this. Last 10 games, Aztecs top 3 in field goal percentage. About 40% from downtown. That's been one of our strengths all year long, but so far in this game, it has not really been a factor for us in a positive way. If we can't get going from behind the arc, we'll probably have a good chance to come out on top here. Speaking of a 3, here's Finney-Smith lining one up and draining it from the top of the key to get us back within 1 point. Right on cue. As Adams will steal it right back off the bad feed from CP3. Off the screen from Adams. LeVert for the lead. Can't get it to go. Sochan pulls it down. Wemby's calling for it down low. 1 man to beat. And it drops in. A couple of rolls off the rim. He's got 25 points already. He has been easily the highlight player of this game for both teams. Here's Josh Green. A catch and shoot. You gotta hit that. He's now missed 2 wide open looks in either half. Here's Sochan, blocked by LeVert. Took too long to fire. Time counting down. Somebody's got to find some space here. It's Brogdon. He left it short. Gordon Johnson lets it fly. That one's not going to drop in. A three could tie it up. Strong drive by Brogdon. He is fouled at the rim by Chris Paul, his third. Front end off the mark from the young, I guess not really young anymore, but the point guard. Derek Jones Jr., Robert Williams both check in for Mexico City as Brogdon splits the charity shots. Double screens setting up for Vassell. Out of a shot, he finds Collins, shooting off Adams from the basket. That'll put the Spurs back up by 4. Deep three. Derek Jones Jr. says kaboom! And we're back within 1 point yet again. Aztecs not going away here in this back and forth matchup. Sochan downhill and fouled at the rim by Robert Williams. He's a one-handed free throw shooter in the first one, and will drop in for him. The back end is off. Trying to go fast here. Levert, transition triple. Does not get it to go. Up to Vassell. He slips inside with the reverse around Steven Adams. Spurs up to 50% shooting. Both teams have shot better in this second half, but they have been just a little bit better than we have. It's 64-60. Leverts finds Adams on the roll. Fouled again by Collins. And coming off the rim rocker, the free throw for Adams will fall. It's 63-64. High ball screen. Chris Paul throws it up and out. 5 to play here in this third quarter. Probably our last shot or two of the quarter we're going to watch here as Levert will put us in front. Just his second basket since the first half. Or really, no, his first basket since the first quarter, I should say. But it will put us in the lead. 65-64. Vassell will not get it right back for the Spurs. We head to the fourth quarter. Just over 6.5 to play in regulation. Spurs hanging on to an 8-point lead. 87-79. Here's Chris Paul. Strong drive. Laying it in for 2 to increase their lead to double digits. Get the offense to get going here as Levert cuts inside and lays it in over Branham. Tough finish right there, but we'll take it. The screen from Wemby. The triple from Paul rattles home, plus he was fouled by Brogdon. Chris Paul in his final game against the Aztecs is playing very well. Now a pair of threes here in this one to this point, and now a 4-point play to boots. The Spurs have scored on 8 3-pointers so far. Not a whole lot going from downtown for either team. We turn the ball over, our 11th of the night. Branham inside to increase the lead to 14. And things are looking grim for Mexico City. I might have to lower this fatigue rate a little bit more because we're still seeing guys tired out there when they really shouldn't be. But Adams continues to feast on pick and rolls. Off-ball screen, setting up for Wembanyama inside for the scoop layup. 37 field goals made by the Spurs, only 33 for us. As Adams has his shot deflected and taken away by Wemby on the other end. Sochan penetrates, lost his dribble, the shot won't go. Levert the screen. Williams has the ball under 5 on the shot clock. Brogdon has to create something. And the shot just misses. Over the top feed on the other end. And that was a pretty bad turnover by Keldon Johnson. Just trying to do too much that time as we bring in Dorian Finney-Smith to likely close out this game. Starters out there the rest of the way. Can they come back in this one with 4 left in the ball game? Adams with the pick. LeVert can't get it to him. Time counting down. A lot of shot clocks have wound down for us in this ball game as Adams gets the rebound but misses the putback fadeaway. Wemby going to work off the backboard and left it short. The offense has to pick things up here if we want any chance to come back and win. Brogdon fakes, fades, and hits. Shot clock under 5. Wembanyama stalling his tracks. The 3 won't go in. Just over 2.5 to go. 12-point deficits. The offense has to go fast and play some great defense the rest of the way. Screen from Finney-Smith. LeVert guarded well. Another shot clock winding down. Really good defense by the Spurs, but LeVert's shot will count. He's now got 21 points. The game is back to 10. Wemby wants it inside. Over Adams. No. Finney-Smith giving some room. Straight away look. And another open 3 that does not drop in for us. Wemby over LeVert. Has too much room to fire. That one's going to drop in. Under 90 seconds left to play. How did that one get through? I don't know, but we'll take the basket. It's back to 10. Not entirely over, but it's going to take kind of a miracle to come out of here with a win. Calling forward inside again. It's Wemby going up against the Time Lord, and he's going to draw the foul. So Adams is spelled by Williams here, and Wemby is on track for 40 or more by game's end. The back end will get him to the 40 ball. MVP chance here in Frostbank Center. We have not played well against our players, except for Tatum, who did not really play well against us in our last showcase game. But Jokic and Wemby, 2 of the best bigs in the game at this point, have been fantastic. Chris Paul picks up his 4th foul. Brogdon has had a rough day shooting-wise. We'll get to around his point average per game on the season here in this one. Over the top, stolen away by Williams. Just looking for a few more baskets to close out the game as Finney-Smith throws down the hammer. 24 seconds to go, but the game is likely out of reach for the Aztecs. Keldon Johnson lines up a 3. That will definitely put this game out of reach officially. And in Chris Paul's 4th and final game against the Aztecs, he will come out on top with a victory. The Spurs take it 104-93 here on their home courts. It's our last time seeing CP3 here in the NBA. I wonder if they'll show the jersey exchange at the end. Okay, well, there was no jersey exchange before or after the game, so I guess we don't get to see that as an expansion team, unfortunately. But Wembanyama, 40 points, 10 rebounds. He goes 16 for 26 from the field. Perfect at the line. Vassell also drops 20 points. Chris Paul, Keldon Johnson, both in double figures too. The Aztecs get 21 from Karis LeVert on really efficient shooting. Not so much for Malcolm Brogdon. Adams, a big double-double with 13 boards, 18 points, plus 3 steals. Finney Smith was okay. Williams comes off the bench and drops 10 and 8 with 1 assist, steal, and block as well. Nobody else played well for us, and Pritchard goes 0 for 8 from downtown. If he hits 2 or 3 of those, this is a much different ball game, but instead, we shoot 18% from behind the arc and drop this one against a division foe. That was a pretty slow-paced game, a pretty low-scoring game, but that will happen on occasion. I think it's time for us to sim the rest of the way as we're 2024, and I want to get right down to our first off-season here. We'll take one last look in a couple of weeks at maybe like 10 more prospects, and then that will be it for our first regular season here in Mexico City. We are winning some games post All-Star break. We have had quite the tear, and we are actually well above 500. What is going on right now? But of course, we lose our starting point guard and our best offensive player to a broken right ankle. That will knock Brogdon out for the rest of the regular season, as we only have like 2 weeks left until the year is over. We get Derek Jones Jr. back, but we have only won a handful of games since the injury. With 1 game left, we are going to be a playoff team, as we are, or I guess a play-in tournament team, as we are 9th in the conference, so our year is not going to end entirely in this episode. We might have to watch the play-in tournament and see if we can actually make the playoffs somehow here in our first year. This is not what I expected whatsoever. If you're curious about the All-Star game, these were the Eastern All-Stars led by Jalen Brunson, Damian Lillard, Giannis, Embiid, Tatum, Halliburton, the usual suspects essentially, alongside Donovan Mitchell, Butler, Paolo Banchero, Siakam, Bam, and Tyrese Maxey. The West had Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, who has an ankle sprain currently, Nikola Jokic, LeBron, Kawhi Leonard, SGA, Anthony Edwards, Anthony Davis, Victor Wembanyama, Domantas Sabonis, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and those are all of them. Just pretty much a lot of veterans plus Wemby and Edwards, and you're pretty much where you were last year. Also, have they lowered the average badge numbers? Because usually the stars have anywhere from 40 to 45 or 50, but all the star players seem to have mid-20s this year. Is that new? Have they changed that? Because it seems different than what I'm kind of used to here. The highest I've seen so far is 31 for Giannis. That seems about it. Let's look at some of these top prospects. We have seen the top 10 or so guys. I'm going to focus on guys that have a really promising ceiling, like Ronald Adams here, who's got the Pistol Pete Maravich comparison. We already looked at him, I believe, last episode. He's got a nice shooting form, can hit mid-range shots, good leaping ability, good on-ball defender. He is number 5 or so on the Sports Nation projection, and he's supposed to go top 10. And again, I'm going to focus on guys that have that really good NBA player comparison. We've already seen Ionescu last episode. We've seen Ethan Love. We have not seen Anders Sundin, who is out of Sweden at 6'11", 22 years old, compared to Elton Brand and Kurt Rambis. He's got some stealing ability, hopefully high potential, very solid and low post defense, but cannot really spread the floor with his three-point shooting. And I guess performs poorly when he's posted up, so not the best offensively in the paint. And we don't know about his badges so far at 92% scouted, or his attributes officially, and you can see that he is kind of a work in progress on the offensive side of the ball. Now, Anderson Longley, who we saw last episode, also has the Pete Maravich ceiling, but his is Hall of Fame, unlike, who is it? Ronald Adams. So they both have Pete Maravich as their ceiling, but Adams has it lower in terms of the highest part of that. All-NBA compared to Hall of Fame. That's a pretty big difference. Got a couple starters here in Louis Kersey and Blake Robinson, and Douglas Farrell, Tyler Ryan. They got Dusty Beasley, who has the World Be Free / All-NBA ceiling. A Jamal Murray floor is not a bad floor to have at all. Very comfortable shooting the NBA three-pointer, good balance, so it can kind of finish through traffic pretty well, and can definitely steal the ball on occasion, but cannot play above the rim and has no other big weaknesses. In 33 college games, he has shot well from the field comparably to what most players shoot, and has also passed the ball very well at about 9 assists per game. And yeah, he looks like a pretty solid offensive player out of the gates. Defense, though, definitely does need some work. He's a good athlete and has high potential. I'm going to add Dusty Beasley to our draft board, but he is 5'10", so actually I'm not going to do that because 5'10" players don't usually pan out. A few players later, there is Paolo Mane, a Dwight Howard All-NBA ceiling. Should have some good success at the NBA level as he matures, can score through traffic, a good on-ball defender, but is slow to grasp new offenses and appears unaware, so probably a lack of basketball IQ according to his profile. But yeah, threes are definitely going to be solid out of the gates. He can pass the ball, defense won't be a plus for him, and neither will the overall potential. And by the way, I do have a friend of mine developing a fictional draft class for next year, so expect better draft classes that are still going to be kind of generated but also fictional. They won't be real draft classes, they'll be again fictional, but they will be better than the usual draft classes. And I also have a couple other things in the works from other people on Operation Sports who are currently making some themselves, so definitely ready to have, you know, somebody making draft classes for the future of the series, because they'll do a better job than the game's draft class engine will. We've got, next up, Gabe Hayes, who has a Marquise Johnson All-NBA ceiling, can score through traffic, future NBA superstar written all over him, good on-ball defender, but has to work on long-range shooting and finishing. He's okay at getting to the rim and can make basic reads on offense, but does not have the best playmaking vision. He has no badges, and you can kind of see why. Frank Winston out of Virginia Tech is 6'6" and has a Rick Barry All-NBA ceiling, has a solid on-ball defender, has sound defensive fundamentals, a solid vertical leap, and a good second jump too. Will miss the wide open man a little bit too much and has to work on his medium range shooting, but for the most part, good athlete, good potential, kind of a jack of all trades, master of none in terms of the actual skills on the court, so we'll see about him in the draft. I think I'm definitely leaning towards those kind of Hall of Fame ceiling kind of players, because that's where you really have your best shot at getting that superstar. Wade Anderson out of Santa Clara has no ceiling or floor, so this is definitely something new, but I guess it's because he has only 21% scouted so far. We'll skip him for now. We've got Jorge Sanchez out of Spain with a Deron Williams All-Star ceiling. He gets to the rim okay, but is a really good finisher. Keen sense of knowing what to do to get big stops, so pretty good defensively. And he has good success at the NBA level as he matures. A poor finisher through traffic, and will have kind of a low IQ offensively, but there is definitely things to work with here. But he is 6'1". That small of a guard makes you question drafting him in the first round. We go a couple players later. We find RJ Brooks at 14% scouted, but according to the report, he's got a JoJo White All-NBA ceiling, good defender, Good passer, good second jump. Will not finish at the rim very well. And that's pretty much it. We'll have to wait to get him scouted further. Anybody else that we have scouted well here? Does not seem like it to this point. We'll have to wait until we get those little pre-draft visits out of the way in the offseason. But we are probably going to have to make a trade to get into the top 4 of the draft to take one of those Hall of Fame ceiling players, because we're going to finish the year 43-39 as Luka, with just shy of a triple-double on the season, wins the Kia MVP. 35 points per game, 11.5 rebounds, 9.9 assists on great shooting splits. Shea wins Rookie of the Year over in Atlanta as the former first overall pick. Eamon Thompson, 6th Player of the Year over in Houston. Wemby, the depoy for the first time in his career, 3 blocks, 1.5 steals. Peyton Pritchard of the Aztecs wins Most Improved Player. Very impressed, I guess. His field goal percentage was not, great across the year, but I guess he got more playing time since his time in Boston. And Giannis wins Clutch Player of the Year with a really solid line of 33, 12, and 5. A couple of steals and blocks per game as well, as Jason Kidd wins Kia Coach of the Year. And Jordan Hobson wins Executive of the Year as well for the Mavericks, who we just lost to on the last game of our season. Now for the all-team selections, it's Luka, SGA, Giannis, Wemby, and Jokic as the first team. You got Halliburton, AD, LeBron, Embiid, and Ant on the second team. Third team led by Sabonis, Lillard, Cunningham, Trae Young, and Jalen Brunson. All defensive first team, Bam, Mobley, AD, Giannis, and Wemby. Second team, you got Claxton, Embiid, Gobert, Gafford, and Holmgren, all of them. And the 5 spot, all rookie first team, Shea, Alex Sarr, Robert Dillingham, Reed Shepard, and Keyshawn George. Second team, you only got 2 players here in Terrence Shannon Jr. and Cody Williams. And those are your all-team selections. And the Aztecs are not done yet. We are in the play-in tournament, facing off against the Memphis Grizzlies. If we lose, we are out. Do you guys want to watch that game or just get right into the off-season? Just let me know down below. I am open to either simming it or watching the entire play-in tournament and seeing how things go. This year, Malcolm Brogdon led us in points per game at 23.5 in 30 minutes of action on average. 4 rebounds, 4 assists per game. Our top passer was Karis LeVert, and then Brogdon plus Peyton Pritchard off the bench passed the ball very, very well. Our best rebounder was Adams at 10.4 per game. Williams would be around there probably if he got that much playing time. Our leader in steals was Williams at 1.5 and mostly bench play. LeVert at 1.3. Our leader in blocks was also Robert Williams. Our highest field goal percent came from Yabusele prior to him being moved to our reserve team, followed by the big men of the team and Robert Williams, Najee Marshall, Wiseman, and Steven Adams. Our best non-big man was Gary Payton. In 80 games, he shot nearly 52% on the season. Very impressed by him, with Derrick Jones Jr. and Brogdon also shooting very, very well. Our best three-point shooter was Najee Marshall at 43%. Brogdon comes in at 41% if you round up. Kennard at 40%. Green at 40%. And then a bit of a drop-off to Payton at 37% from behind the arc. Our top free throw shooter was Yabusele, going perfect on the year when he was getting playing time, followed by Kennard at 94%. Pritchard at 80%, Marshall at 79%, and then it goes down to 76% for Finney Smith and Malcolm Brogdon. This year it was the Thunder as the top offensive team in the league. The Aztecs come in as the second worst offense, only ahead of the Brooklyn Nets at 109.3 points per game. The best defensive team was the Aztecs at 106.8. Very impressed by our defense. That is a hard thing to do in your first year as a team. The worst defense was the Pelicans, allowing over 122 points per game this year. Best differential goes to the Mavericks, who were the best team in terms of record at 61 wins. Nobody else even at 54, so they were leagues ahead of the rest of the pack. The best shooting team was the Pelicans. Again, I expect these numbers to be more realistic next year as the adjustments to the simming kind of kick in for a full year after half the year using the initial settings. But these still don't look that bad overall. The top three-point shooting team was the Thunder, as we come in at top 10 at 37%. The worst three-point shooting team was the Grizzlies. The worst shooting team was the Brooklyn Nets. Aztecs pretty low on that list as well. The top free throw shooting team, as the Aztecs, by the way, were the worst free throw shooting squad. The top team was the Thunder at over 84% on the season. That is very impressive. Most rebounds go to the Spurs. Aztecs top 5. We'll take that. Assists per game, Nuggets in first place. No surprise there. The Aztecs come in at 27 out of 31. I will add an Eastern Conference team probably in like 3 to 4 years. We'll just see how things shake out. The Thunder had the most steals forced, and the Celtics had the most blocks per game here in our first year. In terms of second chance points, Pelicans number 1, Aztecs at 21. And then finally, what were the bench points per game looking like for us? Number 1. That is pretty crazy. 44.4 per game. In terms of league leaders, SGA, before he got hurt, led the league in points per game, nearly averaging 39 points. Again, this will be better, I think, once the simming sliders adjust for a full year next year, but still pretty crazy numbers by him. He had 8 players score over 30 points in a game, and he had a pretty high usage rate as well, with Edwards also becoming a just complete offensive weapon to a scoring phenom. Top rebounder is Sabonis. Top assist man was Tyrese Halliburton, the only player over 10 assists per game. Most steals to SGA. Most blocks to Wembanyama. Highest field goal percent goes to Zion Williamson, followed by Mark Williams, Giannis, and Jalen Duren. Highest three-point percentage was Michael Porter Jr. at 45%. And the highest free throw percent goes to Anthony Simons, and then Luke Kennard just behind him. So one of our players cracks the top 2. Nice plus minus goes to Luka, and then Derek Lively, and then Kyrie. So that shows you all you got to know about the Mavericks team this year. They are way better than a year ago. But I think that will close the episode here in year number 1. Do you guys want to see this game against Memphis? Do you want to see the entire play-in tourney? Or should we just kind of skip through it and go right into our first off-season? Let me know down below your thoughts on that. Please like the video, subscribe if you're new, leave your thoughts down below, and I will see you guys in whatever comes next. Take care, peace out, and have a great day.